AWS Web Application Firewall. I think that for most use cases, it's a no-brainer, and you should add it to your project. It adds security and a decent price. And let me show you how the pricing works. Okay, so let's say that we are creating a web ACL to protect one of our websites. And I've created this demo ACL. So once we created an ACL, that's $5 per month for a single ACL. Next, we need to add rules. Okay, so if I create my own rule, each rule will take $1. Okay, so each rule that I create will cost $1. I'm not going to use this in this demo, so instead I'm going to add managed rule groups because I'm lazy and that's what I want to use. Okay, and in here there are a few things that we need to note, right? Let me scroll over to the free rule group, and that's the free rule groups. It does not mean that you are not paying for them. What it means is that it uses the base pricing for using a rule group, meaning no additional cost. So let's say that I want to enable admin protection, reputation list, anonymous IP, the core rule set, and let's also add SQL databases. Okay, so I'm adding 5 AWS managed rule groups that are free. Okay, so for that I'm going to pay $1 per managed rule group. Okay, so that's an additional $5 to the $5 of the ACL. And I'll show you that later in the pricing calculator. We'll go over it and it will be more clear. Now, different rule groups, managed rule groups, will have additional cost. Okay, so for example, if you're using account creation and fraud prevention, that will cost $10 more. You will pay $1 and then $10 more for using that. Okay, assuming that it runs all month long. The same goes for the rest of them. So these are the AWS managed rule groups. Now, if you want to use other services, they will have their own pricing. You will have to subscribe in the marketplace, and they have their own pricing. Usually pretty much the same model where you have an additional cost per month, so maybe 20 or 40 fixed dollars for using that ACL, and then an additional cost for the traffic. And of course, for these rule groups as well, we're paying for the rule groups, and then we're paying for 1 million requests per month. Now, there's another thing related to capacity units, which I will not cover here, but as long as you're under 1,500 capacity units, you should be good and there's no additional cost. If you do surpass it, you will pay 20 cents, I think, per million requests. So the whole thing here is if you do not have a very high volume of traffic to your websites, a lot of requests, the web application firewall is, I think, a no-brainer. So let's head over to the estimates, to the pricing calculator from AWS. I think it is super, super confusing always, but bear with me. Okay, so in this case, we used one ACL. Okay, and then we used number of managed rule groups, right? We used 5. Even though they are free, it's still 5. And then let's say that we have 1 million requests for that site in a month. That will cost us $10.60. Okay? If pricing goes up, this will go. If traffic goes up, this will go up as well. Now, if we wanted to add more rules, so custom rules, if we add 2 more rules, that will be $2 more on that. You can, of course, create rule groups, which have an additional. If you create your own rule group, that will be an additional $1. And if you add rules under that, you pay for the actual rules. But for most use cases, so if you install and set up the web application firewall for your website and use the managed rule groups, or maybe add a few custom rules, and you don't go overboard with just enabling all the rules, you are adding decent security. So you're adding a good security layer that otherwise you would have had to address in your website, which you should, by the way. But this is an additional thing that you can enable, and it will usually cost between $10 and $15 per month. So I think you should be good. I think that's why I think it's a no-brainer. And you should use it. Again, always check with the pricing calculator, right? You don't want to find yourself paying a whole lot more because you have way more traffic. So like with every service, check the pricing calculator beforehand. But this is why I think you should use this service.